So what I'm going to show you is how to draw these rectangles that will be the paths that we build our image off of. So we have our image locked so that nothing weird is going to happen. And I'm going to use the rectangle tool. The rectangle tool is right here in our toolbox, letter M. And what I'm going to do is click and drag and lay out rectangles that are as close as possible to the size of and shape of my shapes on my screen. So you see this right here? I just laid a rectangle over that. Now, let me show you something. Right now, the rectangle is getting filled with white. I can't see what's behind it. I don't like that. I want to see my picture. I just want to see the outline of the rectangle, what we call the stroke. I want you to set your rectangle's stroke to black. Or if you have a dark picture, if you have a skyline at night, set it to yellow. See how on my screen, when I click this second color box right here, and if you look at them, let me just show you something. Here in your property bar, when you have a path selected, or if you have your rectangle tool, you're going to have these two colors up in your property bar. This is the fill, this is the stroke. Remember, it's the stroke because it's just the outline. Stroke means outline. Stroke means the edges. So we want our stroke to be black, and we want our fill to be nothing. And nothing, go ahead and click on this little drop down here. It opens up your swatches. Nothing is the top left box that has a red slash through a white background. So now, what I have is a box that has no fill, yet it has a stroke, right? It was this before, and now I'm no fill. And that's how I want to draw my rectangles. I'm going to draw my rectangles, and by the way, it's going to keep that setting now. I'm going to draw my rectangles with, as I said, no fill and a black stroke. And now I'm just choosing tonalities, right? See how I have these black sections, or darker sections, lighter sections. I'm throwing it in kind of rough, honestly. Here's a section, whoa, that's not a rectangle at all on the side, but I'm just putting one in as a placeholder. And now I'm going to maybe put this telephone pole in right here. Okay. This looks like a bunch of rectangles. Now we're going to adjust our rectangles, right? If you have a rectangle on your screen, that's fine. Go ahead and pay attention up here for 1 second. We've been using this top tool right here, the selection tool. Right beneath it is what's called the direct selection tool. I never click on these. I always use the letters V and A. A helps me remember anchor points. V is everything. I don't know why that. Keyboard shortcut. So, let me just to reiterate, our selection tool, you need to click on that path. You can't click in the middle of your paths. You're clicking through to the locked background, and that's why I wanted you to lock the background, actually, that image. You need to click on the black edge, that path stroke. And then, when we want to move one of these anchor points, I'm going to click over here just to demonstrate that you can't click there. You use your direct selection tool. I'm going to zoom in here so you can see what's going on. You're going to move your direct selection tool to one of the corners of your rectangle. You click on that corner. It's going to remain blue while the other corners turn white. See, this is a selected anchor point. This is a non-selected anchor point. I'll switch. I click down here. This is now selected. These are non-selected. Why am I reiterating this? Because you can have all your anchor points selected and just be moving your whole object with your direct selection tool also. But in our case, we really want to make sure that we're just selecting one anchor point, and then we click and drag it, and it moves our anchor point, which reshapes our shape. So this is starting to make a little more sense now as to why we dragged all these rectangles on, right? So I'm going to choose my anchor points and refit them. If I have a shape that doesn't fit at all as a rectangle, say it's this side over here, right? No matter what I do with this one corner, right, it's not going to work, right? That's not a four-sided shape. I need to add a anchor point to make another side. The way you add an anchor point, you use the Add Anchor Point tool. The Add Anchor Point tool, once again, I never click on it. Is plus. Just plus on your keyboard. We'll bring it up. If you want to click to it, it's actually quite hidden. It's under the pen tool, and then there's this Add Anchor Point. We'll talk about the pen tool next class. Add Anchor Point tool. What does the Add Anchor Point tool do? Well, you click on a path, and it adds an anchor point. Now I'm going to switch over to my Direct Selection tool and click and drag that anchor point to wherever I want it. So maybe move that up there. I'll move this anchor point down here. Move this one over here. So that's nice. Now I have that sort of five-sided shape. If I had a six-sided shape, I'd add another anchor point and move it into place. Please do this with all of the rectangles, all the buildings in your selected in the image that you're going to be working with. Now, I'm saying rectangles, rectangles, rectangles. If you have a curve in a building, it's something that I'd like you to ignore for now because it's a specialized type of anchor point. I want you to get used to moving, creating, and moving. I want you to get used to creating and moving these anchor points before you move on. This is a major sort of building block of using Adobe Illustrator. Making paths, manipulating the anchor points. Okay? Questions? I'm going to come around right now.